Hey guys, today we have the iPhone 6 and we'll be installing the Type 4. Now what makes the Type 4 different is that you're going to see the antenna cutouts and a small border around by the sides. It's very similar to what's on this Plus. As you can see, the antenna cutouts around the top, and there will be a slight border right here. And it will connect and look very flush to the sides that are on the top and bottom of the phone. Now, what's the difference between these backs? What's on the Plus is a border cutout, and the orange is no border. So, to start our installation, we're going to start with the top. All you have to do is center the small area inside the antenna cutouts and make sure it's centered around the camera, speaker, and flash. As you can see, it touches the border of the antenna and it gives it a nice little detailed frame. Now you have no pivot points for the bottom section, and you just have to stay inside the gray antenna area. Make sure that you press both pieces down that we've installed already to make sure that it does stick to your phone. Now we're going to continue on with the mid-back section. And you just want to center it from the top portion and make sure that it's flush by the antenna. You want to use the wax paper that it came on to help you move it around, because the bottom section that is in my hand right now will try to stick onto the phone and make it a little bit more difficult to try to install. So by installing just the top part first and making sure that it lines up at the bottom, and then sliding the wax paper out makes it for an easier install. As you can see, it was no difficulty at all, and it was aligned very easily. Now remember, press from the middle out and then to the sides. And this is the back of the Type 4. The next section that we'll be installing are the longer sides. Now, the first one that we're going to be putting is the one that has the lock button and the SIM card tray. You want to start up by the upper area by the lock button. Make sure it's centered around the lock button and that it aligns just underneath that antenna border. Also check that the SIM card tray is centered and that it lines up with the antenna on the bottom. Now, if it overhangs a little bit, you can contract it by just lifting it up and then aligning the lower section to the antenna, and the heat will take care of the contracting. Now, before heating, just make sure that it is pressed firmly onto the phone, so when you do heat, it will take that shape. Once the heat gets the material soft, press firmly and just make sure that you go in a back and forth motion. The next piece is going to be the opposite longer side wrap, which is the silent switch and volume control buttons. Now you want to follow the same method by making sure that it is aligned and straight underneath the antenna. It's aligned around the silent switch, the buttons as well. And then as you make your way down, that it is flush towards the one on the bottom. You just want to double check that the sides are parallel to the antenna on either side, and then once you feel that it is aligned correctly, just firmly press. And like the opposing side, we're going to be heating it with our hairdryer. Now remember, wait until the material gets soft first before you start pressing it down. Remember, just firmly rub your thumb back and forth, and it should contour to the rounded sides of the phone. That gap in between the side wraps and the mid-back section is what makes this particular kit different than the Type 3. The Type 3, those longer sides are attached directly to the back. Now we're going to do the bottom portion of the side. They're usually located in the front of the full body kit. You just want to make sure that it does run parallel around all the antenna borders. But since it is a sharp curve, they are going to be lifted around those corners. So you want to heat the area around the corners, and you just want to press the sections that touch the antenna cutouts. Now, once the skin is firmly adhered to your device, you just want to press firmly around those curved corners. You want to start in the middle of the curve and then run your finger back and forth to evenly disperse the skin as it is heated. Now you just want to press firmly the rest of the bottom piece of the side wrap. Now, before we do install the final section of the side, which is the top part, since there is no way to really align it, since there is no pivot point, you just want to double check that everything is aligned correctly. If you notice, there is a curved section towards the side wrap. This is going to be facing towards the back. So you want to just follow the curve. The rounded section of this side wrap is going to be facing the back. You want to start at one side of the antenna, and then you want to wrap it around towards the other side. And if it's aligned correctly, it will meet in the middle, right on the border of the antenna. Now, making sure that it does meet the curve of the phone, we're going to follow the same methods as we did with the bottom. Heat the two edges that touch the antenna, and then you want to start with one of the corners. Remember, start in the middle of the corner, and then rock your finger back and forth to smoothen the curve out. Now that we did the portion that touches the back, you want to make sure that it does wrap around the curved section by the glass as well. Now that we've finished the back and sides, time to install the front. For this video, we're going to be installing the one-piece front. To install the front skin, make sure that you sort of flap over the bottom of the front skin so that the adhesive side is facing up. And then you want to align around the sensors, speaker, camera, and start to unflap the bottom. You want to be very gentle while installing the bottom section, because if you're too rough, you will stretch the thin side wraps. There's also a possibility that they could snap if you are too rough with them. Now you just want to center it around the touch button and make sure that there is a very slight border around the outside portion of the front skin. After you're done installing it, just make sure that you firmly press down the thin sides and the upper and bottom portion. Now, since this is curved, you want to use your hair dryer and heat the material so it will contour around the curved edges of the phone. And there you have it. This is the iPhone 6 with the orange carbon fiber Type 4. And this is the iPhone 6 Plus Satin Blue Mist Type 3.